Yeah, so, goddamn U.S. government politicians. I hate them all, I swear to God. So,
Wow. Thank you, Tony. That was great. Perfect.
Thank you. That's our show. So every single year, the U.S. politicians, the Congress and Senate have to sit down and they have to come up with a budget. And if they don't come up with a budget, then one side threatens a government shutdown and the other side threatens a government shutdown. They play chicken to see who wins and whether or not the government will actually keep moving and whether what the employees will actually get paid this month. So here we are once again, December. It's the end of the year. The negotiating comes up. What's going to get cut? What's going to get saved? Well, it turns out things that get saved, corporate payouts, something like 47 of the Forbes 500, the biggest companies never paid any income taxes. So they get to operate without any taxes whatsoever. Well, in order to make up for that, some things have to get cut. Well, what did they cut? What did they drop? It turns out that some people wanted to extend the incentives for buying electric vehicles. Nope. Sorry, Amazon doesn't want to pay taxes. We're going to let them get away with that. Sorry, the credits are gone. And what does that do? That punishes companies like Tesla and GM who have already exceeded 200,000 vehicles. So now their cars, their electric vehicles are going to become more expensive because the consumers have to pay the full price instead of the incentivized price. Now, if you want to still take advantage, you're going to look at Nissan, who's next in line to reach 200,000. I think they're at, about 150,000 now or something. And then Ford is currently at about 115,000. So maybe you can get something from Ford. Mercedes-Benz has only sold 20,000. So if you got a bunch of money, you can buy a Mercedes. But what they wanted to do, they wanted to increase the threshold from 200,000 to 600,000. Because, hey, we got a good thing going, right? People are buying EVs. People are taking advantage of the tax credits. Let's keep this steamroller going. And it turns out they said no. And specifically, and I'm just going to leave it right here into my political rant, the White House specifically stepped in and squashed any ideas of extending the EV tax incentives. Now, their argument was that EVs are only purchased by rich people and the middle class is being punished because their taxes are paying for rich people to buy electric vehicles. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
now,
the way the tax credit works is it is a no carryover, no refund tax credit, which means it can only reduce the amount of taxes that you pay. So it's not like it's coming out of some general fund to cut you a check. You're just reducing the amount that you pay. And if you didn't owe whatever the amount is, $7,500 in taxes, then instead of paying the $5,000, let's say you owed, then you don't owe any, but you don't get back the extra $2,500 above and beyond. So there's no way that it's taking money out of the government to pay you that extra amount.
And the sad part is, you know that, and we know that, but the average person who reads something that says the middle class is being punished because rich folks are being compensated for buying expensive cars, they just believe that because that's all they hear.
Yeah. All they see is the 7,500 reported over and over, and think it's just an automatic credit for 7,500, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
And they could also cap it. They could say if you buy an EV that costs more than X, it's not eligible. So the rich people can still buy the rich cars.
Right. Or they could even cap it based on income level, have it phase out with just like over whatever 150,000 the Roth IRA starts phasing out. They could put it on some similar scale.
If the White House wanted to do really cool stuff, they could say if the car is made in America, it's eligible. If it's an import, it's not.
Right, if you want to encourage American jobs. That's a great idea.
That would encourage American companies to build EVs in America. And, someone in the White House is talking about jobs in America, so that's one way to do it.
Yeah, those are all great ideas compared to cutting it. It's ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, they did actually extend tax credits for EV chargers. Because you get 30% up to $1,000 off of your charger. 2 to 3 wheel electric vehicles, you still can get a credit for that, and hydrogen fuel cell vehicles, whatever. So they did extend.
I'm getting that new Mirai.
Yes, I know you are.
Yeah, so I want to point out that if you're driving a gas car, you are being subsidized.
Yes.
Every gallon of gas, if you want to know what it really costs, you should look at all the pollution that's made when it's refined, all the wars that our military goes through guarding the Straits of Hormuz so that it's not the tankers aren't attacked, the political ramifications of us being involved in the Middle East so we can extract there. The health impacts of the emissions, so all of that, and depending on which form you're looking at, the life of a gas car is subsidized over $12,000. So we're actually saving the government money when people buy an EV instead of a gas car, and the externalities that we all have to pay in health costs and shortened life and kids with asthma and emergency room visits. So it's so short-sighted to do this.
Well, not to mention all the federal money
to the
big oil.
Yeah, I was going to say, the direct incentives straight into the oil companies to begin with.
Right. The oil companies are some of the most profitable companies in the world, and yet they're also one of the most highly subsidized, which makes no sense. Subsidies for a nascent fledgling industry make sense, but once they're established, they should stop getting government money, period.
Right.
See the Defense Department.
Right.
Yeah.
See Amazon.com.
Mm-hmm. So they did also extend incentives to biodiesel. So that's actually a handout to the farms, not family farms, because most of the farms in the United States these days are corporate farms that are presenting themselves as small farms. And they also extended to what coal plants owned by Native American tribes.
How many of those are there?
It's plural, so I'm guessing 2. Yeah. Yeah. So as you can see, I'm a little bit miffed by this. There's not much coming out of this that really appeases me in any way. I really think that the alleged progressive Democratic Party could have tried to stand their ground a little harder, but they chose not to. And they just said, okay, whatever. And so I honestly think we're missing out on a lot of opportunities to grow our electric vehicle and green technologies markets.
A lot of it ties back into what we were just talking about. I mean, we are incentivizing bad behavior.
Right. Mm-hmm. So this is where the states need to step up. And if the federal government isn't going to do it, then the states need to. And this is one thing. So I've talked about this. I'm getting Tesla batteries, and for our house, and the federal incentive is dropping over the next few years. So for next year, it's going from 30% this year to I think 26% next year. And I was like, oh, I missed 4%. But my state is starting an incentive next year that more than makes up for that 4%. So by doing it next year, I'm actually saving more. And that's the state right there stepping up and filling this gap that the feds have left. And Oregon has an EV incentive now, so that, and it doesn't have a cap, and that's paid for by a small tax on every vehicle sold. It's 0.5%, and that all goes into a fund that funds electric vehicle incentives. So which is funny because even when you buy an EV, you still have to pay it because they just said all cars pay it. But then if you're getting an EV, you get that back and then some.
Yep.
And South Carolina was like their total between federal and state came to like 55% back of your entire solar system. So not even just the panels. Like if you had a battery or if you had a more efficient water heater, anything that was installed at the time of the panels by the same contractor counted.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Paul to speak up on how Colorado is just handing out solar panels and batteries.
They're still giving out $5,000 on any car that plugs in the wall. So
Nice.
I bought another plug-in car this year because of that.
Add that to the 7,500 while it still lasts for some brands.
Illinois canceled their program last year.
and then raise the DMV fees if your car plugs in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't laugh too much, but Ontario did the same thing. Government change and EV programs are turfed out. Done.